In explanation video number 4, the concluding part of Act 2, Scene 3, we will be meeting Malcolm and Donalbin because they are the ones who are most affected as a result of the murder of their father, right? So what would their course of action would be? What would be their next course of action? What would they do immediately after the murder has been revealed? So Malcolm says aside to Donalbin, 1 minute, let me just see. Okay, from here, sorry. So he says, what should be spoken? Why do we hold our tongues that most may claim this argument for us? So he says, why are we keeping quiet? That is holding our tongues. The two of us have the greatest right to talk about this subject. That is claim this argument as ours because it affects us the most, more than Macbeth or Lady Macbeth or Banquo or Macduff or Lennox or Ross, right? We are the ones who are going to be the maximum affected. Donalbin says, what should we say here when we ourselves may be in some kind of immediate danger? Because they realize that if the father can be killed, if the King of Scotland can be killed, why can't the princes also be killed later? So he realizes that even they, the princes, could actually be at some kind of risk immediately after this. Hid in an auger hole may rush and seize us. Let's away, our tears are not yet brewed. So he says that when we ourselves may be in some kind of immediate danger, but from some kind of a hidden place, which we may not suspect, hid in an auger hole means that we may be in some kind of danger from some unknown kind of a place. And it may be waiting to strike at us, So he realizes that we are in danger and we need to be extremely conscious of it. Let us get out of here. We are not yet ready to show our tears. This is not the time for us to grieve. We need to first ensure that we are safe, right? So the belief is that Donalbin is also being a little sarcastic at this point in time, and this is also some kind of a snide remark at Macbeth's overshow of grief and sorrow at the death of King Duncan, which probably Donalbin realizes is some kind of an act. Okay, so that is the belief of some of the critics. Now Malcolm says, not our strong sorrow upon the foot of motion. Okay, in an aside to Donalbin that only Donalbin can hear. So he says, the time has not come for both of us, the two brothers, to turn our deep sorrow into action. This is not the time to show action. We need to first ensure that we are safe, right? Upon the foot of motion means to show some kind of action. Banquo says, take care of the lady. So Lady Macbeth is taken out. And Banquo says, and when we have our naked frailties hid that suffer in exposure, let us meet and question this most bloody piece of work to know it further. So Banquo says, when we are properly dressed, that is at this point of time, many of them have just got out of bed, so they may not be properly dressed, which is why naked frailties hid. For the cold, when we are properly dressed to take care of this kind of cold weather, let us meet and question, investigate, let's find out, let's probe this most bloody crime to see if we can figure out what really happened, to get to the bottom of who actually committed this murder. Right now, there are fears and doubts. Scruples means fears and doubts. Fears and scruples shake us. There is fear of what has happened, and there is also all kinds of doubts as well. In the great hand of God I stand, and thence against the undivulged pretense I fight of treasonous malice. So he says, I am putting myself in the hands of God. So again, it shows to the moral points, to the moral compass of Banquo, that he's a God-fearing person, right? So I'm putting myself in the hands of God, and with his help, I plan to fight against the undiscovered plot of the malicious traitors. That is, the people who have committed this heinous crime of murdering King Duncan. I would get to the bottom of this. Undivulged pretense. Undivulged means undiscovered, something which we do not know about it now. Pretense means this entire show of doing something like this plot. And treasonous malice means this malicious traitors who have actually gone ahead and murdered our king. Macbeth says, so will I. All of them says, all of us will. Macbeth says, let's briefly put on manly readiness and meet in the hall together. Manly readiness again refers to the fact that let's put on our dresses, let's dress quickly and then meet in the hall. Manly readiness is in a contrast to the naked frailties which is mentioned by Banco. He's probably also referring, manly readiness could also be referring to the fact that wear some kind of an armor to be ready for battle if necessary, right? So that could be a reference to more sheets of armor, more weaponry in order to defend yourself. All of them says agreed, and everyone except Duncan's two sons, Malcolm and Donalbain. Malcolm says, what will you do? Let us not consort with them to show an unfelt sorrow is an office which the false man does easy. I will go to England. So he says, what will you do? Let's not meet with them, because he realizes that they are different. We are different. We are the bloodline of King Duncan. So in that sense, his death affects us more than any of them. So it is easy for a false man, that is easy for someone who lies, for a liar, to pretend to show sorrow when he is actually not feeling, right? Whereas we feel it from the bottom of our heart. I will go to England. I'm going to England. So that's what Malcolm says. So Donalbain says, I will go to Ireland. So England, so they are in Scotland. From Scotland, one of them will go to England. That is Malcolm. Ireland is another part of the greater UK. Ireland, another country now. To Ireland I will go. Our separate fortune shall keep us both the safer. Where we are, there is daggers in men's smiles. This is an important phrase. Daggers in men's smiles. It shows the double-faced nature, which is a very common theme as far as Macbeth is concerned. The near in blood, the nearer bloody. So he says that I will go to Ireland. We will both be safe if we go our separate ways. Wherever we are, every man's smile, okay, will have a dagger hiding behind it. Remember, the dagger has been used to kill King Duncan. Not that we know whether these two people also went into the murder scene. We do not know, to the chamber. We do not, at least we are not told about it. But he's also referring to a dagger. So he says the dagger is a symbol. I mean, behind every smile, there's actually a dagger. So which means that you cannot trust what you are seeing on the face of every man. And he's probably making this kind of a sarcastic snide remark at the way everyone is grieving, especially Macbeth. Okay, so the one who are closest to us in kinship or relations are most likely to kill us. Okay, so he is referring, Macbeth was very close to King Duncan, and thereby he would also be in some way related to Malcolm and Donalbain. So he is referring to the fact that the people who are closest to us in kinship, in some kind of relation, are probably the people who may end up actually killing us. So Donalbain is probably thinking of the smiles with which the father was received initially into the castle by Lady Macbeth, and he also fears that the nearer a man is to, in terms of blood relationship, the more likely is he likely to shed blood. And the reference is obviously, as I said, to Macbeth, the nearest relative of the princess. So Malcolm says, the murderous plot is not yet accomplished. This murderous shaft that is shot hath not yet lighted, and our safest way is to avoid the aim. So he says the murderous plot is not yet accomplished. That is, we too would be, potential targets in the future, and we will be safe only if we avoid it completely. It's like an arrow which has been shot and it may be coming in our direction, so we need to avoid it completely. So let us mount our horses. So therefore, to horse, let us mount our horses and depart without delay, without worrying about being polite and saying goodbye. So let's not say goodbye to all these guys. Let's leave immediately. Let's not kind of indulge in these kind of niceties at this point in time. Okay, not be dainty of leave taking. Dainty is reference, or dainty is generally used for the Frenchmen, that they are very dainty in nature, in the sense, observing all the manners, the good manners, and being very polite and being very proper in that way, right? So let's not behave like that of leave taking, but shift away. There is a warrant in that theft which steals itself when there is no mercy left. So he says that theft is justifiable which steals itself from a place where it can expect no mercy. Basically, Malcolm means to say that they are justified in going away from that place where there is some kind of a danger which is lurking and there is no mercy to be counted upon. They cannot expect any mercy at that time. So the castle, in that sense, from being a home from being, remember all the different descriptions of the castle in Act 1 when King Duncan was about to enter. They talk about the bird which makes its nest, etc. From there it has been completely transformed. I'll write an answer on how the castle is some kind of a motive and how the castle has changed. From being a home, it has become a place where death comes visiting. It has become a place where a murder took place, and therefore Malcolm feels that this is a place which is full of danger for them, and they should not kind of spend time in niceties of saying goodbyes, etc., to all the other people in the castle, and that they should move away immediately. So he says that there is a warrant in that theft which steals itself, that the theft is justifiable, which steals itself from a place where it can expect no mercy. So no mercy is the important part, and therefore the theft is justifiable. Where there is no mercy which is possible, it is okay, it is justifiable even to steal away from that kind of place. So that's what he's saying, that this place we cannot expect any mercy. We would be at risk out here. So the decision of the two princes to flee, it actually ends up helping Macbeth. In the first part of the play, it shifts the suspicion to them. Apart from the security guards, the fact that they run away without saying anything to anyone kind of helps Macbeth shift the suspicion also to Malcolm and Donalbain. So with this, we come to the end of Act 2, Scene 3. We'll now move to Act 2, Scene 4, which is the last part of your Class 11 syllabus. I hope this Act 2, Scene 3, which is an important scene because that's a revelation scene. Porter scene to begin with, and subsequently it is the revelation scene. I hope you have been able to understand well. Tata, bye-bye.